Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to talk about some underrated teams. These are teams that I think players kind of underrate, overlook, and almost undervalue in their roster. Some of these you're going to say, oh no, I know they're good, I know that's a good team, but I think a lot of times where I see this is in Grand Arena players, either they go kind of one of two ways with these teams. They overkill them because they're just kind of unsure because they don't really understand it. Or they try to underkill it and they drop a crazy amount of fights because they're not understanding how that team fully works and the mechanics that are making it tick. So we're going to get into this listing, guys. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let's give a shout out to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you guys are ever interested, that link is below, along with a link to our Discord server. Go check it out. Appreciate you guys. Without you, this channel is not possible, and I am just humbled, blessed, and, just feel all the love in the world from you guys. Really, I love when you guys ask the questions, utilizing the, hey, Phil, can I, what should I farm next? What should I do? I enjoy stuff like that. So thank you guys again. Let's get in here. Let's talk about some underrated teams. So, the first team I've got here is the Maul Mandalorians. And all of you are going to sit there, oh, I know they're good, I know they're good. I don't think everybody fully recognizes just how good this team can be. Even without a fifth unit, they're still solid. And in 3v3, you kick out Canderous and you just use Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon. What I love about this team so much is their ability to beat some of those just kind of annoying teams for good banners. And by annoying teams, think of like General Skywalker. These guys can beat General Skywalker. I clean up GL Ahsoka Tano with this team. I've gone into battle against, just like resistance teams, other stuff that's just kind of like, that's in that realm of like, okay, they're kind of annoying. They're going to steal banners for some of my other teams. They will do really, really good against this. Defensively is where I think this team doesn't get enough respect. On defense, this can pose problems to players who aren't expecting how to beat it, because what they'll try to do is Zerg down Maul. But if they don't have a good enough way to ignore taunt, all of a sudden things go south. Because once this team gets going, it's very challenging to stop it. And Lord forbid that you preload this team and you are going to get cooked. And you're going to have to use something way too good to beat it. What I have found with this team that is also really, really valuable is they don't need great mods. They don't really need great mods to work, because the heavy lifting is just coming from Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon, and they just kind of do good things. The modding here, minimal Zetas, like you really only need Maul's unique Zeta. You don't need Canderous, you don't need the other ones on Maul, and that team will still do really, really wonderful things. Hi, buddy. Hi, Pip. Okay, can we get down, please? Can we let? Yeah, thanks, Bubba. All right. Next team that I've got here is the Rogue One team. Rogue One Rebels is extremely underrated. I think especially, and I'm looking at this especially too from that, we get to Kyber 1 and we're like, this team isn't that good. This is such a staple team for a long time. Like one of the best things that they do, you ever go up against an Iden Versio team or you see Imperial, any kind of Empire team on defense, Rogue One is your answer. They just completely, any kind of Empire team on defense, these guys have a really good chance of beating it, if not 100% chance of beating it. What's so great about this team, they've got multiple revives. Again, Adrad, he's got his like Rebel Assault or Transmission from Scarif thing. Revive all allies, recovering health protection. But even Jyn Erso on her AoE here revives Rebel allies. And so there's multiple chances for you to bring people back. You can add in a variety of different tanks here, whether it's K2, Baze, Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, and still have a very good team. Kind of taking, almost sharing taunts from each other, which can be really hard for certain teams if you don't have a way to ignore that. They've got a couple different, cleanses going on, turn meter manipulation, which that turn meter manipulation on this team, especially from someone like Jyn, where she can go in, remove all their turn meter, And then she can gain that much turn meter. And then she can pass turn meter to whoever she wants, which could be Admiral Radis, and you just start cycling through these special abilities. Even someone like Biston has turn meter removal. So very quickly that team starts to kind of get out of hand, run away from you. You're attacking out of turn. There's exposes going on, AoE attacks. I've found this team to be one of the most annoying to deal with, and Lord forbid that fight goes on a little bit too long and they get upload and you can be cooked. And I think that's one where they're underrated, especially too because the Profundity has lost a lot of its luster with the release of Punishing One and Leviathan, and so players aren't as likely to be investing in this team. But I can tell you from experience, this is one that for a long time can be a staple in your Grand Arena defense and or offense. Gotta give love to the Nightsisters of Dathomir, the OG Nightsisters. I feel like I feel like Great Mothers and Morgan have really stolen a lot of the thunder, a lot of the attention that this team used to get. This is one of those teams on defense that, on defense, you'd see players either overkill it or they try to underkill it and then they lose. And offensively, it also beats a lot of stuff, especially throwing in Marin in there, where they just kind of beat some things that you wouldn't even, I want to say expect, but like General Grievous teams get melted by the Nightsisters because, again, as long as Daka survives, she's just going to keep bringing everybody back, and kind of easy for Daka to live for a long time. But even, some of the other squads that they'll kill, the ramping offense from Massage, if you keep killing Zombie, like they're just one of those teams that kind of punishes you the longer a fight goes on. And once that plague gets rolling, it can be devastating. I can remember times where Nightsisters would get crazy holds for people on defense just because players weren't expecting them. They're a team that I think you've got to kind of really understand all the mechanics at play here. And if you say, well, Phil, I don't have Marin, you can throw Acolyte, you can throw Spirit, you could throw Talia in here. Your core four is Talzin, Daka, Zombie, and Asajj, and then that fifth unit can be whoever you want. And Marin, obviously the best, but she kind of goes with that Great Mother team, or maybe you don't have her yet, so you can use one of the other Nightsisters and still just wreck house with that team. Defensively, say, oh, well, just Imperial Trooper them. I would love nothing more than for you to use your Imperial Troopers here, because then I'll set something else that they can beat that now you've got to do with something else. Another very underrated team for me is Bounty Hunters. I don't think people give the Bounty Hunters enough credit anymore because it's not a super flashy team. But for a long time, they're extremely viable, especially offensively. I think defensive viability starts to go out the window with them as your account progresses a little bit more. But there's a lot of stuff they will beat on offense. In fact, even on offense, they will beat Nightsisters above and the Rogue One team. Might take some, there's some risk there. You might need this Sam Omicron at times. But even with these five, there's still a lot of viability to beat teams. What I find so helpful with this grouping of bounty hunters is that there's not a lot of extra investment here. Like Mando and Grief are not that hard to convince yourself to build up, and what they allow you to start countering can be kind of silly. The other thing that I feel this team excels in is Conquest, those game modes where, hey, gonna go on for a little bit, we kind of need that level of survivability. These guys are great. Whether it's even just trying to do a quick fight and you're going to destroy someone with Mando, or the fight's going to drag on and you've got some AoE attacks, ability to ignore taunt, kind of work things around, this team has it all. And that's where I think they do so well comparative to some of the other teams is if you have this specific one, Mando and Boba Fett both can ignore taunt. So if the strongest character is taunting, but you need to go target the weakest one to trigger boss contract, you have that through Mando and Boba Fett to be able to kind of trigger that contract. You've got Dengar's AoE, Boba Fett AoE. Very quickly, you start working around that, get your contract, and get rolling. So I think this is just such an underrated team that players don't always see as valuable anymore because, again, in like Kyber 1, I'm not really using them that much. But that doesn't mean that they're not good in other areas or that you couldn't use them. It's just, I've got a bunch of GL, so why would I do anything else, right? But finally is the Phoenix, the OG Phoenix, your Phoenix crew here, Dave's crew, Dave Filoni's crew. The Phoenix is a very underrated team. I've seen this get some crazy holds in Grand Arena because they're just they're one that I think everybody's like, oh, I got them super early, so they're not that good. And you forget that you start adding relics to this team, start adding some of their Zetas, which I'm still lacking Zetas on Hera and Sabine that I've wanted to equip for a very long time. They just start doing some stupid, silly things. And Lord on High forbid, again, this is another one, like, Lord on High forbid you preload this team, and stuff goes south very, very quickly. One of the perks with this as well, they're all pilots. So the ability to really get solid use out of their gear in those Phoenix ships cannot be understated either. But I'm going to say one of the most useful things that this team can do is, let's say that you need to bring, oh, you know what? I need to get kills with a Jedi. Well, I've got Kanan, or I could even throw Ezra in this team. I need Droid. I've got Chopper. I need Mandalorian. I've got Sabine, Clone Trooper, Rex. They have kind of a variety of characters. Like, they've got a wide variety of characters inside of this team. So what starts to happen is if you need to do certain things with varying factions in a conquest, or there's certain datacrons active, there's a character in this team who could maybe benefit from them, which could help the team get even more ridiculous. Think about when Sabine had her datacron for a while. This team was really good. Or, if Chopper got a droidcron. All of that stuff plays a role and makes this team that much more valuable to you. So that's my 5 just kind of underrated teams that I think some players will look at this and say, oh, Phil, they're not underrated. But I think when you look at the way the Grand Arena landscape as it is, when you look at the way that players are prioritizing teams or utilizing them, these are ones that I see people the players I see utilizing them are being extremely successful. Obviously, if you're in Kyber 1, these are not teams you're going to see. And it's almost unfortunate, which, it is what it is. Kyber 1's its own kind of ridiculous level, and even Kyber 2 is starting to get more and more ridiculous. But there's a lot of areas where these teams can even still be good. I still use quite a bit of them in varying ways. And it really just comes down to, how I'm trying to get whatever task it is done. So, like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.